Have you ever wanted to start a conversation in English but didn't know what to ask? With just 10 simple questions, you can speak more naturally, feel more confident, and keep the conversation going. Good conversations don't begin with perfect words. They begin with real curiosity. Today, let's explore 10 simple questions that open real conversations. Imagine you're sitting alone in a small coffee shop. Someone smiles. Hi, what would you say next? Question 1. What brings you here? Many English learners ask, where are you from? There is nothing wrong with that question. But sometimes, it stops the conversation. Instead, try asking, what brings you here? This question is different. It invites a story. Maybe they are traveling. Maybe they are visiting family. Maybe they just moved to the city. Maybe they are chasing a dream. Listen to this. Hi. Hi. Is this seat taken? No, please. Thanks. So, what brings you here? I'm backpacking across Europe. Really? How long have you been traveling? Almost 3 months. Wow. That sounds amazing. Can you feel the difference? One question created an entire conversation. People don't always remember your words, but they remember how you made them feel. When you invite someone to tell their story, you also tell them, I'm interested in you, and everyone likes feeling interesting. Question 2. What's been the best part of your day? This is one of my favorite questions, because most people expect, how are you? And without thinking, they answer, I'm fine. But when you ask, what's been the best part of your day? Something changes. They stop. They think. Then they smile. Maybe they say, I had a great breakfast. Or, my daughter called me this morning. Or, I finally finished a project I've been working on. You are no longer talking about the weather. You are talking about life. And that's where real conversations begin. Try it someday. You may be surprised by the answer. Question 3. What are you excited about these days? Many people spend too much time talking about problems. Work is stressful. Life is busy. Everything is difficult. But this question changes the direction. What are you excited about these days? Maybe they are planning a trip. Maybe they are learning to cook. Maybe they started reading a new book. Maybe they are waiting for their first child. Excitement is contagious. When someone talks about something they love, their face changes, their voice becomes warmer, their eyes become brighter, and without realizing it, you begin to enjoy the conversation too. Remember this. People don't always enjoy talking about themselves. They enjoy talking about the parts of life that make them feel alive. Have you noticed something? Until now, we haven't talked about jobs, or money, or social status, because none of those things help us connect. Curiosity does. Real conversations begin when we become more interested than interesting, and maybe that is the secret. People don't like talking to those who have all the answers. They like talking to those who genuinely want to listen. So the next time you meet someone, don't worry about finding the perfect English sentence. Instead, find a question that opens a door, because every person you meet is carrying a story. They are simply waiting for someone to ask. Imagine, the conversation is still going, the coffee is getting colder, but neither of you seems to notice. You are no longer talking to a stranger. You are simply talking to another human being. That is the beauty of a good conversation. It slowly turns strangers into friends. Let's continue. Question 4. What's something you've always wanted to learn? When we were children, people often asked, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" But very few people ask adults, "What do you still want to learn?" This question is beautiful because everyone is learning something. Some people are learning a new language. Some are learning how to cook. Others are learning patience or confidence, or how to become a better parent. Listen to this conversation. So, what's something you've always wanted to learn? I've always wanted to play the piano. Really? What stopped you? I always thought I was too busy, but maybe it's not too late. I hope so. Sometimes, a simple question reminds people of a dream they almost forgot, and dreams make conversations unforgettable. Question 5. What's a place that feels like home to you? Notice something. I didn't ask, "Where do you live?" I asked, "What place feels like home to you?" Because home is not always a house. For some people, home is their grandmother's kitchen. For others, it's a quiet beach, a mountain, a small bookstore, or a tiny coffee shop like this one. Imagine someone answering, "My grandfather had a small garden. Every summer, we worked there together. Whenever I smell fresh flowers, I feel like I'm home again." Can you see what happened? You didn't just learn where they lived. You learned a piece of their heart. Question 6. What's one small thing that made you smile recently? Life is full of big moments, graduations, weddings, new jobs. But happiness often hides inside very small moments. Maybe someone smiled at them on the train. Maybe a child waved at them. Maybe their dog was waiting at the door after work. When people remember these moments, they smile again. And emotions are what people remember most, not facts, not grammar, feelings. If you want people to enjoy talking with you, help them remember happy moments. Question 7. If you could wake up anywhere tomorrow, where would it be? This question feels playful, but it also tells you a lot about someone. Some people say, Kyoto. Others say, a small cabin in the mountains. Someone else may say, my childhood bedroom. There is no correct answer, only different dreams. And dreams are wonderful conversation starters. Maybe they ask you the same question. You answer, I'd love to wake up beside a quiet lake in New Zealand. Now you're no longer talking about places. You're talking about the life you hope to live someday. A quiet thought. Have you noticed? None of these questions can be answered with just one word. That is the secret. Questions like yes, no, maybe, end conversations. Questions that begin with what, how, why, invite stories. And stories bring people closer together. English is not only about speaking, it is about helping another person feel heard. That is a language everyone understands. Take a moment today. Choose just one of these questions. Ask someone you know. Then, really listen. You might hear a story you've never heard before, even from someone you've known for years. Let's continue. Question 8. What's something you've changed your mind about? This is one of the most powerful questions you can ask, because it isn't about facts, it's about growth. Someone might say, I used to think money was the most important thing. Now I think time is. Another person might say, I used to be afraid of traveling alone. Now it's my favorite thing to do. Or maybe, I used to think making mistakes was embarrassing. Now I know that's how we learn. People enjoy talking about who they are becoming, not only who they used to be. And maybe that is what life really is. Changing, learning, growing. Question 9. What advice would you give your younger self? This question is simple, but it often creates silence. Not because it's difficult, because it makes people think. Imagine someone looking out the window for a few seconds before saying, "I would tell myself, stop trying to make everyone happy." Another person might smile and say, "I would tell myself to travel more. The perfect time never comes." Or perhaps, "I would tell myself not to be afraid of speaking English." Can you imagine that? One question can reveal an entire lifetime of experience, and when someone shares a lesson they learned the hard way, it feels like receiving a gift. Question 10. What are you grateful for today? This is my favorite question of all, not because it is deep, but because it changes the atmosphere. Some people will answer, "My family." Others will say, "My health." Someone else may smile and say, "This cup of coffee," or "this conversation." Gratitude has a quiet power. It reminds us that even on ordinary days, there is still something beautiful to notice. And when two people talk about gratitude, they usually leave the conversation feeling a little happier than before. Many English learners believe they need a bigger vocabulary, or a better accent, or perfect grammar. Those things are helpful, but they are not what people remember. People remember kindness, curiosity, warmth, and the feeling that, for a few minutes, someone truly wanted to understand them. So, the next time you meet someone new, don't try to impress them. Don't worry about sounding intelligent. Instead, be curious. Ask one meaningful question, listen carefully, and don't rush to answer. Because the best conversations are never competitions, they are discoveries. One question, one story, one connection at a time. Thank you for spending these moments with me. I hope today's episode helped you learn more than just English. I hope it helped you see that every conversation is an opportunity, not to prove yourself, but to understand another human being. If you enjoyed this episode, take one question from today's podcast. Use it this week. Ask a friend, a classmate, a colleague, or even someone you've just met. You may be surprised by where one simple question can lead. Until next time, keep learning, keep listening, keep asking, and remember, every person you meet knows something you don't. Maybe all it takes is one good question.